through our storage options. He's got a couple of topics for us, our storage options, as well as portals and licenses. So, Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Yeah, as David Friedrich said, I'm David Williams. I'm a CRM consultant, business analyst with Covenant. I've been here about a year. The majority of that, I've been on the EHI project exclusively. It's been a great ride. I've been working with Jared, their BA there, and some other folks, helping with the functional implementation side of that. And like David also said, we're going to talk about some storage options and then do a brief overview of the portals functionality in CRM as well. So we'll get started right away here. So just real quick, we're going to talk about 3 different types of storage. There may be more. I'm sure there's third-party tools to do all kinds of storage, but these are the 3 main things we focus on. CRM storage, just out of the box, regular CRM storage. SharePoint storage is another solution that a lot of people use as long as you have SharePoint licensing. And then Azure Blob storage, which is a newer kind of paradigm for storage, at least in terms of what I've been seeing in the CRM industry. And we'll get into the pros and cons of each of those. And I think, well, I don't want to spoil it, but we really like Azure Blob, and we'll talk about that a bit more in detail. I kind of put the storage use cases up just to, maybe people are just used to kind of sending files around via email, but really it is a good idea to keep most of your files in CRM if you can. That way you can keep everything in one central repository. So I just put a couple of use cases up here just to get your mind kind of thinking. This is some ways we can, some types of documents we can store, for instance. So like insurance and telco companies, you could attach scanned copies of contracts, applications, health inspection reports, and identity documents and things like that. In the public sector, so same sort of thing. Basically, the bottom line is they're attachments, right? And let's switch into attachments here. So the 2 main things that you would attach are regular notes. For instance, if you're in an opportunity or an account and you would like to make a note about the deal you're working on, you could make a note and you can add an attachment. It could be any number of things we just talked about, or it could be a contract, something like that. In CRM, that works as it's shown. I don't know, it's called the social pane. You've probably all seen it, especially if you're using Dynamics every day. But so CRM, it works, just like it is. SharePoint, you need to use SharePoint documents. One caveat with using SharePoint is that the notes functionality in CRM still works out of the box. So you may think that, we're saving all kinds of money by using SharePoint, but the user can still go to a note and attach some attachment to that note, and it'll be using CRM storage, unless you do a custom plugin to kind of automatically move those attachments over to SharePoint, and then through a data retention policy, remove those from CRM. And then Azure Blob storage. It works nearly the same as CRM out-of-the-box functionality as far as the user is concerned. There is a Microsoft solution that kind of replaces that functionality that you can install, and it is a Microsoft-supported solution. This is something they're rolling out. Maybe a bit later I can ask Mike about that, but I think it's something it's definitely on their roadmap, I know that for sure, and it's something that's going to be widely supported in the coming releases. The other type of attachment we see a lot is email attachments. Again, CRM supports it. SharePoint, you would have to, again, do a custom plugin to move those email attachments. That's a scenario that we've looked at before with EHI, and then through additional research of their data, decided that it really wasn't using a lot of space, so we opted not to do that, but it's certainly something you can do by finding patterns and such in the email signatures and then removing those attachments. And Azure Storage, yes, it supports email attachments as well, and again, the solution replaces the existing functionality. So I wanted to talk about a few points here with these attachments. Security is a big topic, a huge topic. Maybe that's even an understatement. With CRM, the attachments inherit CRM security. So if somebody isn't supposed to see a document, they're not allowed to with CRM. With SharePoint, you would need to do some custom functionality. I think, I don't want to dive too deep here, but one of the issues is that the person with a little bit of prowess, technical prowess, could look in SharePoint and find those documents, and they're not locked down. So you would need to do some custom work there with the SharePoint sites and your SharePoint team to lock that down. Azure Storage, it is the same as CRM security, rather, but you will need to configure those things outside of CRM in a different place. Implementation of these, CRM, there's no implementation. It's out of the box. With SharePoint, it's just a simple configuration. It's very easy to set up. One thing with that, though, is that you would need a SharePoint site, so you would need to actually have SharePoint installed. You would need the licensing and stuff for that. And you'd need a site, typically one for each tenant. So if you have dev and UAT and production, you'd want 3 different sites. And then we've already talked about implementation on the Azure Blob Storage, where it's the solution that we talked about that you just install. In terms of scalability, I use the word massive. I mostly took that from Azure Blob Storage, but yes, you can do massive scalability with CRM. Cost is very subjective, but it can be cost prohibitive with CRM storage. SharePoint, yeah, absolutely, but there's some SharePoint limitations. I don't have those in front of me right now, but we can certainly talk about that after if you'd like. And then Azure Blob Storage, absolutely, it's designed for massive scalability to, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Some additional benefits with SharePoint, you get OneNote and OneDrive integration. As far as pricing goes, I kind of did the star rating here. CRM's fairly expensive. SharePoint's about 6.5 times, roughly, 6.5 times cheaper than CRM storage. And to give you an idea of Azure Blob Storage, it's around 300 times cheaper than CRM storage. The training effort, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because it's kind of a big cost, especially in a larger organization around training. If people have been using CRM for a while, there's very little to no training cost with out-of-the-box CRM because it works like it has for quite a while. SharePoint, and also another point about that is there's a lot of documentation already that you can use and maybe repurpose for training material. And SharePoint, there's a little bit of training involved. There's a new drop down on the opportunity or wherever you have attachments at so that you can kind of add documents. So a little bit of training. But with Azure Storage, it's also a low training effort because it's much like out-of-the-box CRM. That was it for storage, real short. Just wanted to kind of cover those 3 things. Azure Storage is, I think that's the way we're looking in the future, especially as things progress with solutions from Microsoft. I think that's what we want to use primarily, if it's the right use case for folks. But we'll take that on a case-by-case basis, I guess. So I want to go over portals now. This is just going to be a quick overview. Barb, I still see you back there. When I got tasked with doing this this portal presentation, I went to look for some resources, and Barb wrote a blog post that was pretty much an all-in-one place for portals. It's a really great post. It was a very good overview, and I just wanted to give some credit to Barb there, and thank you for your assets that'll be in this presentation. Next time we'll collaborate instead of me stealing your stuff. So the rise of self-service. This is a very hot topic right now. Probably anybody, especially those folks in sales, know that this is a big deal. I know for a fact that when I have a problem or I want to solve a problem with another business, the first thing I do is go online and try to figure it out myself. I'm not sure why. I used to pick up the phone and talk to people, but now I just want to kind of solve it on my own. So I always go to look for a way that I can go submit a ticket or look at some knowledge base or something like that. And that's true not just with customer self-service, but employees, I think, feel the same way. They want to be able to get the information they need. And you'll just see some numbers here. 90% of global consumers now expect a brand to offer a self-service portal. 50% of users use multiple channels like Twitter and Facebook and other means to make their voice heard. All right, so portals. The way I describe a portal is, I don't want to say a website, but it's an entryway, or I don't want to be cheesy, but it's a portal into your, to allow like a customer or a vendor or somebody like that to get access into specific parts of your CRM data and surface that in a way that they can see it on their mobile or web or whatever means that they'd like to see it. There's a couple different types of portals now. There's new ones rolling out all the time, but I'm gonna just kind of point these out, and then we'll get into some detail on these. So there's the self-service portal. That's what I was talking about in my case, where customer self-service, and it also works with employee self-service. There's a community portal, which is just for your customers. Partner portal, and then there's some new portals we'll talk about. Events, field service, and project service automation. And you'll see that there's a lot of features to the portals. I don't want to get into all of them, but the things in red are new features out with the new release that's coming, or maybe some of these are already in place, like charts and graphs are. There's some accessibility things added, knowledge management, some localization going on, and some search and SEO optimizations as well in these portals. So we'll talk about customer self-service first. You can restrict access down based on content authoring, the access level, so that maybe you have premier customers or other types of customers and you'd really like to only display certain content to them. You can do that with the customer self-service portal. Providing knowledge to customers through a portal, it deflects some costs that you'd normally get in a kind of a traditional customer service model. And employee self-service, really this is, I have some slides here, some notes, but this is really a lot like the customer self-service. The big difference is that it has authentication that verifies your employee status, so you don't have just people kind of getting into your personal company data. And then also the middle piece there, you can participate in communities. The employees can share feedback. You can implement all the things from the customer thing, the portal, like polls and things of that nature. The community portal, you've got discussion forums, blogs, and article creation. It's really a way to kind of unite your customers together. And then again, we've got polls and ratings and comments to capture feedback about your business and other things you want to capture feedback on. The partner portal, it's a way to allow multiple partners to collaboratively work on, I guess basically the main point is to allow partners to work together on deals. And there's been some improvements just recently with the partner management. The new multi-partner collaboration, I kind of spoiled it in the last thing, but multiple partners can work on the same deal if you have a business use case for that, and that's how your sales process works. Partner lifecycle management, it's a way to manage your partners and the recruitment of new partners. There's a lot of turnover, I guess, in these sort of things. And then deal registration is a way that vendors can get a sneak peek into your pipeline and then kind of call dibs on something if you allow them to, and allow them to set up custom pricing and things like that with you ahead of time. So the event portal, this isn't out yet for sure. We don't really know exactly when it's going to come out, but I still wanted to cover it a bit. It'll support multiple event types, like one-time registrations, webinars, even multi-day conferences if you want. It'll handle sessions. That makes it so your attendees can find the events that they're most interested in with the sessions and tracks. You can manage the conference attendance all the way from registration to check-in, and then manage logistics as well. Solution portals, I called it this because these are things that you will have a solution for. You'll either have field service or project service automation, or depending on your licensing, maybe you'll get all of this anyway. But field service kind of gives you a view into assets and work orders and quotes and invoices and things like that. And then the project service automation portal is very similar to that. It gives you insight into the things that you would get out of the project service. And if we want to talk about that afterwards, please feel free to hit me up there. That's all I have. Thank you.